This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Many clinical rehabilitation centers consider addiction to be an incurable, progressive, and fatal disease. It sneaks its way in, and before the person realizes it, they are hooked. The consequences are devastating and deadly. Losses are unavoidable. If you're sick and tired of addiction controlling your life or destroying that of a loved one, don't despair. There is a solution for addiction.
It is incredible the devastating power of an addiction. We can see that those who are suffering with an addiction right now, it deteriorates their lives, deteriorates their dreams. It starts very softly, starts small, and suddenly, when the person realizes, it is taking over the entire life. Perhaps you are watching us right now and you are in this state. You are suffering. You are hooked into a cycle of defeat to the point that you look at the mirror and you don't know who you are anymore. That's what an addiction does to the person. People who are around you don't recognize you anymore. You can't recognize you anymore. You don't know who you are anymore. Because you are spending more time under the influence of that drug. You are abusing some substances so much that most of the time you are high. And little of the time you are just clean. So you are losing your identity. Perhaps you are losing the understanding of everything that is happening around you. Because that's exactly how an addiction works in a person's mind. The addiction changes the way the person thinks. The addiction changes the way the person sees the environment, the way the person feels. It changes the way you feel towards yourself, towards others. And makes you not even recognize who you truly are. And who are you? You who are watching me right now and you find yourself hooked into any kind of addiction. Have you become a slave of this addiction that you have? Have you been bombarded by this addiction so much that you can't control yourself? Because that's how exactly the addiction works. The addiction enslaves the person. And if you are feeling like you became a slave of a substance, you take a decision because of this addiction. Everything you do, it's to feed your addiction. You don't care about the price you have to pay, but you need to go and give to your body what the addiction is asking. And you may be watching us right now and you say, but my addiction is just a cigarette. Okay, but any addiction becomes a stumbling block on the person's life. Because wherever there is an addiction, there is a spirit. Wherever there is a spirit, there is a curse. As long as there is a spirit of addiction working in your life, it will bring depression. It will bring anxiety. It will bring suicidal thoughts. The spirit of addiction, when he is working in a person's life, he brings with him loads of other problems. But what do you want of your life? Until when you are going to accept this addiction prevailing in your life? How much more can you take? The question that I want to make you is, how much more can you take? How much more do you want to lose to this addiction? Perhaps you are watching and you have lost everything you had to this one addiction you are going through. Or perhaps you are about to lose everything. You know, there is a way out for you. There is a solution for the problem you are going through. There is a treatment that can actually transform your life. Behind this addiction you have, there is a spirit. And once this spirit is removed, your life will be transformed. You are going to watch now the story of someone who entered the help center, the treatment, full of addiction. But when the spirit of addiction was removed from this person's life was completely transformed. Maxine arrived and her life was upside down. But as she engaged on the treatment and she obeyed the voice, the teachings on the treatment of addiction, she got completely free. And the same can happen with you.
My lifestyle before coming to the church, I was very argumentative with my mum. I used to run away from a very young age. When I was about 12, I got involved in the wrong crowd. They was older than me, so I used to be influenced a lot with them. I started raving at a young age, used to go to parties a lot, come back in like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I wouldn't come home. I was very angry all the time because of abuse that happened to me. So I blame my mum for most of the things that happened in my life. I was addicted to crack cocaine, alcohol, cigarettes, as well. I used to take ecstasy, but I wasn't addicted to that. From a young age, I was drinking anyway, from about the age of 12. And then it led on to other things where I was addicted to weed. My addiction escalated when I was in my 20s, and it led to, I was addicted to crack cocaine. But I was heavily addicted where it got to the point where I lost my house, my children. My life was like basically destroyed through the addiction. I wasn't able to manage myself. I couldn't look after myself well, so 2, 3, 4 days I used to go smoking, so I used to be up, go to sleep for like 2 days, and it was just like a vicious circle. That's how I used to live my life. Also, where I lost my house, I started sleeping in crack houses, where the crack houses are places where you go and buy your drugs. They're not very clean, dirty mattresses, people's got needles in their arms. So this is the lifestyle that I used to live. And I used to sleep from house to house where I never had nowhere to live. Certain times that I've slept outside, in the parks and things like that, because where I never had accommodation to live, to go. The lowest point of my life was, I had many children. I had 13 children together, but there was a time where my family members stepped in to take some of my children. But I remember that I distanced myself from them, and I lost contact with my mom, and I ended up falling pregnant. And from then I had 4 children, which they was removed from my care, in the sense where the social services took them when they was like babies. So as soon as I had them, I only held them for like 6 hours, then they was removed. And that went on for, I had one after the other. So 4 in total. That was the lowest point of my life, because it was like, I never had no control of it because of the addiction. It's like I swapped my addiction, for my children. So I never had no control over this. And to make it worse as well, there was like an order, so I was restricted to whether to see my kids. If I was to see them, there was always someone there with them. So I think that was the lowest point of my life. I used to be on an estate called Bulldaughter Farm, and every day, like in the mornings, I used to be there, sitting outside, and I remember there used to be a gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he was an assistant and he used to speak to me. But because everyone used to know me on that estate, they used to know me like I was addicted. I used to use and things like that, so a lot of people used to avoid me. But I remember one day he was speaking to me, and it was the first time that anyone ever sort of like spoke to me in that way. And he took time, he was speaking to me, invited me to the help centre. I didn't go, but I remember him saying about it, where it was and everything. And then when I had my daughter in 2005, the same thing happened. She got removed from me as well. So that was like my 5th child was going to be taken into care. So I decided to go and find the help centre, and that's how I knew about the help centre. Basically, when I was coming to the church, I was in and out of the church. I didn't take part in the chain of prayer, what they told me to do. I kept on breaking, I kept on leaving the help centre, coming back. And then I remember I actually even stopped for a little while, but then after I left the church. And then I remember one day I decided that I had enough. I saw the testimonies of people's lives who'd been transformed, and so I decided to take part in the chain of prayer. When I was taking part in the chain of prayer, I remember that it was like about 3 or 4 weeks had gone past, and I realised that desire for me to, because it didn't happen overnight, the desire for the crack went, but I was still smoking and I was still drinking. And then slowly, the taste of alcohol went, and I think the last one that went was the cigarettes. So it was like a process, When I was coming to the help centre, I wasn't speaking to the assistants. I wasn't confiding in anybody because I think it was a shame for me. But then I remember started opening up to people, speaking about my problems, what I had. And it was not only just about the addictions that I had, it was things that was in my past that I had to sort of, tell them about so they can be able to help me. So my advice is when you come to the help centre, to speak, tell the pastors what's going on. Even sometimes I think as well your past dictates to you, so you can't move on from that. So my advice is, to speak, open up, participate in the chain of prayer, because it really does work.
According to the specialists, addiction is an incurable disease, progressive and fatal. But you could clearly see through Maxine's story that there is healing for depression. And I can tell you, if this woman was healed from an addiction, years of addiction to crack cocaine, if she could be healed of this addiction, so you can be healed of any addiction. If there is healing for an addiction of crack cocaine, there is healing for any kind of addiction. And notice what happened in her life. See if this sounds similar to you. When she got hooked into the drugs, it didn't only affect her firstly, it changed her mind, changed her point of view of life, to the point that she started appreciating more the drugs than her children. The addiction took the dignity out of her. The addiction destroyed her self-esteem. The addiction destroyed her desire for life. She could only live thinking about the drug, the addiction she had, to the point she lost her children. And that's something important we have to understand. The addiction, when a person is addicted, when there is an addiction in a family, it doesn't only destroy the person who is a drug addict. Normally, the person who is a drug addict is the one who is high on the drugs, suffering because of the drugs, but because he's high all the time, or she is high all the time, she doesn't even realize what is happening around. But the family members, the mother, the father, the brothers and sisters, who are sober and clean, watching everything that is happening to this person who is addicted, they are going through a terrible pain. And perhaps you are watching us now and you are not a drug addict. Perhaps you are clean, you have no addiction whatsoever, but you are suffering more than a person who has, because you have to watch a loved one going through horrible things because of an addiction. Perhaps you are a mother who can't sleep at night because you don't know where your child is. You are a father who don't know what to do with your son anymore. You gave him the best education. And now what do you see? You see your loving son. You see the person you love the most hooked in something that you don't have power to remove from his body. Perhaps your family member keep promising you, it's the last time, it's the last time, it's the last time, but it never happens. After the last always comes something new, and you don't know what to do anymore. There is a way out for you. Every Sunday, 3 p.m., we have the addiction cleansing therapy. In this treatment, you are going to be free from addiction. And if you have a family member, even if he doesn't want to come, you are going to come representing that family member. And you are going to do the treatment on behalf of that family member. And it is impossible that you do what the treatment teaches you. You go through this treatment and your life remains the same. Just as it happened with Jet. Jet, a boy who was hooked into something because of the voids that he had in him, and he came to a point where he didn't know what to do anymore to overcome the void. So he went into drugs. And then he only found help in the treatment for addiction. Watch his story now, pay attention, and see that it is possible for you to overcome this addiction in you or in a family member.
My life was completely destroyed. I had an addiction to weed. I couldn't go a week without smoking. I always crave it. I'd think about it, always think about what I'll do when I'm smoking it. How I started smoking weed was it was just through a friend. He offered me some weed, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought, okay, it's only just once. After that, I didn't mind trying it again, and then I had it more, had it again, and then it started to become more addicting. I started to have it more. Then it became a point where I couldn't go a week without smoking weed. I'd go full power. I would just keep smoking all night until I was just off my head, off my face. Eventually I'll go home, and I would go straight to my room. I wouldn't want my mom or my brother to see me. I wouldn't want them to know that I've been smoking. I don't want them to smell the smoke on me. So, sometimes I'll even spray, Lynx on me just to make sure I wasn't smell like weed. And I'll just, go to sleep and wouldn't talk too much. And then the next day, as I'm more sober, it would take an effect in my behavior. Sometimes my mum would ask me a question and I'll feel like snapping at her because I was very tired and very irritable and miserable. So it had an effect on the way I was acting to my family, the sort of behavior I had to my family. And I was always very paranoid as well, because I always thought that if they found out, what would they think of me, or even I was always paranoid of driving on the roads and getting caught by police. When I wouldn't smoke weed, when I didn't have any weed on me, it was like there was emptiness inside me. So I was using this weed just to feel the emptiness inside me, because I would always feel like a loser, or just felt like there was nothing else to sort of lift me up, nothing else to sort of feel this joy or something inside me. So it was always, weed was the main thing to make me feel better. And if I was having a bad day, for example, if I was having a bad day at work, I would have like a huge craving to be smoking weed on the way home. Even though I didn't have any weed on me, that's what it was like. That's the craving was like. Smoking weed at home or anywhere else, just to forget about my problems or forget about the bad day I had. There were times where I thought about quitting, and I was trying to, put it into practice. It came to my mind that to stop the weed was to, get into another drug, because it was getting to a point where I was starting to become bored of weed. So, one time I tried a pill, an MDMA pill. I realized that, what the weed was doing, it was leading me to other drugs, and then it was basically, my life was just declining, it was decreasing, Every time I smoked it, every time I smoked weed, I always thought, okay, that's the last time I'm gonna smoke weed, that's the last time I'm gonna go back to that stuff, and after that I'm gonna either just take a break and go back, or just completely quit it for good. The more times I try to quit, then I'll get stronger at it, but it was never the case. I was always still smoking every week. It was getting to a point where I didn't know what to do, I didn't know where to turn to, because I didn't want my family found out, so I couldn't turn to my family. So I didn't know what to do. I was really lost. But then things changed when I heard about the treatment. When I heard about the treatment, I didn't really think much about it, but I thought, okay, I'll give it a try and let's see how things work. And then after getting, after applying the treatment to my life, I realized it was a spirit inside of me that was causing this addiction, that was causing me to have this massive addiction to weed. But then when the spirit of this addiction left me, that's when I was completely free. I had no more addiction to weed. Even if I took maybe if I smelled it, I would feel a bit sick to my stomach. So that's how I knew I was really free from it. Today, I'm no longer smoking weed, I'm completely free from this addiction. I'm free from this depression that the weed brought to me. And now my life is really moving forward. I'm no longer depressed as I was. I'm more capable of myself at work. I don't have to be paranoid anymore. I'm no longer worried. I did the treatment. Now I'm free from this addiction, and you can be as well.
Stop everything that you are doing and pay attention. What else do you need to lose? What else the addiction needs to take from you? What else the addiction needs to take from your family member for you to react? Perhaps you are watching us now and seeing these testimonies and you have lost everything to an addiction. Or you are about to lose everything. What else this addiction must take from you? The moment that you decide to react against this problem is the step that you are giving towards the deliverance of your life and of your family. It doesn't matter how much you've tried. It doesn't matter what specialists have told you. I'm proving you with testimonies that to be healed from an addiction is possible. But you have to obey the treatment. You have to obey the addiction cleansing treatment. When you do your part, God will do His part. So you who are watching us now, this coming Sunday, we are going to have a very powerful meeting at 3 p.m. to remove the spirit of addiction. That's the reason why you couldn't overcome until now. That's why you are spending all your energy, spending all your efforts, and you keep saying, it's the last time. This is my last time. This is my last joint. This is my last one. Just like Jet said in his testimony. This is my last one, but every day is the last and you can't get rid. I'm going to remove this spirit of addiction from your life. I challenge this addiction. I want to see you here Sunday 3 p.m. Actually, from 2 p.m. we are going to have the specialists already prepared for a one-to-one. From 1 hour before our treatment, the specialists will be available for a one-to-one. If you have a family member hooked in something, or if you are hooked into drugs or any kind of addiction, inbox us now, make an appointment, and we are going to be sure that one specialist will be waiting for you to receive the right direction to overcome this problem. We are going to remove the spirit of addiction from your life, just like Hinemoa arrived and could not live without drinking. 2 bottles of wine per day. Imagine that. She could not go a day without drinking. But today, she is completely free. Pay attention to her story.
I was an unhappy woman. I have a lot of mess in my life. I have a lot of addiction in my life. I have smoking, drinking, clubbing, gambling. I started smoking when I was 20 years old. But drinking, I just started drinking when I had the problems in the family between me and my husband. So that's why I started drinking. If I'm angry, I used to fight with my husband. Even I have to beat my girls, give them a hiding. With nothing, with just only if I'm angry. I think that's happiness inside of me if I keep drinking and smoking. I never stop. From Monday to Sunday, I have to drink. If I finish from work, and then I have my husband always comes to pick me up. I always tell him, bring my bottle of wine. After work, I just drink straight away in the car. And then if I got home, and another bottle of wine, and then start it again. Every day, even Sunday. I used to go to church too. And then after church, I have to drink. So Monday to Sunday, 2 bottles a day, every day. Sometimes if I'm going with my friends, 5 bottles of wine. And the 2 packets of smokes Or if I'm drinking, and then 3 packets of smoke. It's very expensive, it's so bad. I use a lot of money. You know, packet of smoke is very expensive. And bottle of wines too, because I used to buy a bottle of, you know, the expensive one. I lose a lot of money. The finances problems comes to my family because we haven't got enough money because of I hate if I have no smoke. I hate if I have no wine. And also my health problem. That's the other thing too. Make me the health problem causes from the drinking and smoking. You know, I had the heart problems because it causes from the smoking. I used to be in the hospital for a month. So if I'm in the hospital for a month, I'm not working. So that's the other time I haven't got money, because if I have no annual leave, I have no pay. My husband was asking me, you have to try, get rid of them. When I was admitted in the hospital, that's the time I tried to quit, because I had a problem of sickness in me. I just left the smoke and the wine beside. And then, okay. And then the health comes, my body comes better when I stopped smoking and drinking. But about 3 to 4 months, and then I saw them smoking and drinking again. And then my friends, they just, oh, come on, have a wine, only one class. And then I said, no. I said, only one class. And then I started again. And then I started smoking again. I try hard to keep up from the smoking and drinking the wine. Never stop, never end, because the spirit of the devil inside of me, especially the anger too, the spirit of the devil was inside of me. The devil still wants me to continuous to do these things, but it's not worth it. It's not good for me. When I found the treatment, the spirit, when the spirit of devil was inside me, when the spirit came out of me, that's the treatment. So when all the devils and evils it was inside of me, the spirit was inside of me, was out of me, and then I was free from the addiction of smoking, drinking, clubbing, gambling, and the anger. I was free from everything, no more. If I can heard people, they said, oh, drinking, just come and drink. No, I don't want it anymore. It made me vomit. Even if I smell the smell of the smoke, it made me feel dizzy and a headache. It felt me vomiting. So, and my life now is more better, happy life. No more anger, no more addiction, no more drinking, no more smoking. Never in my life at the moment. When I found the treatments, no more. And the anger inside of me, no more anger. It's peace in me and my family. And also I found the happiness inside of me. No more health problem. Finances is up. And happy life. So I did the treatments, and then I got it. So I'm free from everything now. So it works. The treatment works very well in me.
If you have prepared your glass of water, you can hold it now and let's pray. My Lord and my Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I ask you, consecrate this water, that everyone who is praying with us now through this program holds. And let your power be in every drop of this water. There are people, my God, who has never attended any of the help centers before, but they believe. They watch this program, they are in urgent need of help, and you are the only one who can provide this help. So when this person drinks from this water, in the same way, my God, that one day, they tried one of the drugs, and that one trial hooked them to get it again and again and again. One trial hooked them into drugs. So when they drink this water, every damage that this drug has done in this person's life, this water will cleanse this person now, and this body will reject that drug. In the name of the Lord Jesus, I consecrate this water with the certainty that God's power is in it. If you believe, you can drink the water now and be a blessing. You see, I'm certain that God's power is getting manifested in your life. But for your life to be completely transformed, God gave you strength for you to do your part. Don't accept this addiction controlling your life anymore. Get control of your life. Attend one of the services in any of our help centers all over Asia and Oceania. It's time to say enough. It's time for you to take control of your life. Have a wonderful night. God bless you all.